Hi there, this is Janet Gershen-Siegel. This is Module 6 of Quinnipiac social media class, and this one is basically on social listening, so let's get started with the presentation. Our community that we chose is j-krak fans, and it's a new music community, and my partner is the lovely and talented Kim Scroggins. Now, j-krak is a rock band that's hoping to hit it big. They are based in Rhode Island. Justin Krakowski and John Cairo are friends of Kim. I have been listening. I think they're good. And I'll play you a little snippet. All right, I hope that gave you a little bit of an idea. That sample is the start of a song called Rock and Roll Predator. Now, I come to this completely as an impartial outsider. I had never heard of this band before. So my discovery of the community was I first started by just trying to see what I could find out about them and about this community of fans, because after all, this is a band that's in a tiny state. And so Kim sent me the initial YouTube link, which was to Rock and Roll Predator. And I then followed up by exploring the other videos that were posted by user John V. Cairo, and that's his link. And complicating matters is the fact that Justin Krakowski himself goes by j-krak, as does Jeremy Krakowski, who I suspect might be Justin's brother or somehow related to him. Hence, I needed to separate these entities, and they are not well separated online. Branding. The smartest move that j-krak has made is to add a uniform title card to their videos. I don't know how clear that is on the video here, but that way you can tell that you're going to actually see a video of the band. The black and white card, the sans serif font, they're all used for some sort of branding uniqueness. But about the only keyword that's useful on Google is the name of the band itself, and you have to put it in quotation marks because Google has an annoying tendency to sort of skip over hyphens and not really use them in its in searches. And I know this personally because I've got a hyphen in my last name. But it isn't easy to find the band's own work. There isn't much of it online, and it clashes with Justin Krakowski's own work. Things that are not the brand, not the band. Contrast this with Justin's own efforts with a band called Sultans of Swing. The only live performance I could find online on YouTube was this particular video, and it's not the song The Sultans of Swing, by the way. It's a medley, and including Santeria and a bunch of others. But this is the only live performance that I could find which had both video and audio, and in contrast, you've got color here, you've got movement. It's a lot more interesting than j-krak band's own static YouTube videos, which are essentially just the title card and the song and band names. Now, community contributors, platforms, and goals. The community's only consistent contributor is John Cairo, who is the guy who uploads the videos. Justin also uploads videos to YouTube, but they seem to be more for his own purposes. Essentially, Justin is causing some of the confusion on his own. The community's sole online platform is YouTube. They are barely on Twitter, and I'll get to that in a moment. They aren't yet on Facebook or any other platform. They are not on specialized sites such as MySpace or Vandalism. Vandalism is, I had heard of that because there's a guy I went to high school with who is on Vandalism who has his own band. The goal of the community is to bring success to j-krak. This includes not only physically attending their shows, but also recording, although all of the YouTube postings seem to be by John. The key influencer is Kim herself. Now, community discussions, there are very few of these online, but that's understandable because we're only talking about a very small block of YouTube videos. For the Rock and Roll Predator video, however, they have an impressive view count. It's over 1,100. That's pretty good for a small band. But there's only a few comments. Commenter Lee Mangano said on February 24th of this year, "Great job, song's got attitude." Once again, the band's branding is front and center, but there are less than 5 comments. Surprise for me is here's a band with an interesting sound and good musicianship. They clearly get gigs. The below screenshot is referencing a YouTube audio-only video from a gig, although it happens to be in 2012. But the promotions are currently small, so why aren't things moving along? Now, I don't know much about the music business, but I do know that for bands to be successful, they need to seize a moment. Much like in all aspects of social media, he who hesitates is lost. However, success for bands isn't always defined in the same way. Not everybody wants to play an arena. Another surprise. There is almost no social media involvement whatsoever by the band, or the two guys who are in it. But that doesn't match the social technographics profile of the two men within the band. Now, I didn't know their ages, so I basically split the difference. And I went with a group of the 18 to 24 men in the United States and men 25 to 34, figuring they would fall somewhere within that. And what is happening here is that the men in the band are behaving like inactives. But social technographics says the opposite. It says that for men 18 to 24, they have over 95% activity in social media. Even spectators are at 93%, and joiners are at 84%. Another surprise continued. This is the slightly older demographic group. Once again, looking at the social technographics, and this time it's for men between ages of 25 and 34, and these are for American men only. The number of inactives still remains low, and the number of actives is over 90% for this demographic group. Spectators are at 82%, joiners are at 67%. To my mind, these figures point rather strongly toward creating a Facebook page. Fans of the band, once they know about it, and part of the issue here is promotions, but once they know about it, they'll probably be interested in hitting like and joining this group. Maybe it's not so surprising though. Google searches show nearly nothing on the band. You have to dig, you have to know what you're looking for. It does help, by the way, if you search on j-krak, if you add the state name Rhode Island, that helps. Or you add the word rock. A search for j-krak does not get you to the band until the bottom of the third page of Google search results. And as Sweet Brown said, ain't nobody got no time for that. Nobody's looking beyond page 1 or 2, and they're usually not even looking below the fold on page 1, so that's not so good. And the results that you get on page 3 aren't even that good. They're pretty old. They're from an eventful page for Providence, but the gig is from 2012. If the fans can't find the band online, then the band is not going to get gigs, and it's going to be even harder to find them. This is a vicious cycle, and it's only going to continue if they don't change their tune. Now, here's another attempt at social media here. This is Gershen-Sik's own Twitter stream, but it appears that it's been hacked and abandoned, and the last deliberate post happened back in July of 2013. There are only 17 tweets. 14 of those are not weight loss spam. The last 3, we'll forget about those. Of those 14 that are legitimate, 6 are at least tangentially related to music. And here's another area where the results are not surprising. Why wouldn't you have a lot of... he's actually got a pretty decent number of followers. He's got 52, but I didn't really go in depth into that, and I suspect that a lot of these are auto-follows. Social mention. One of the few places I could find them online, because I looked at every single one of these trend spotting links that were provided, such as Google News, and they had nothing for j-krak. There's nothing. And then finally on social mention, thank God I found something. There was a small amount of information there, and the problem is that many of the mentions even here are of Justin himself. But the findings were 0% strength, 0 to 1 sentiment, 11% passion, 8% reach, and I know it's very difficult to see, but the graph all the way, the little bar right all the way in the lower left, says that the vast majority of the mentions are neutral, and then there's a few negatives, and there are no positives. The biggest keywords were j-krak and Almont, and that one only refers to Justin. Unsurprisingly, YouTube was the top source. There was also something under Topsy. There was only one finding, though, and it was a tweet by Scorpion Bar on February 19th of this year. And they said, and I quote, "Sing your heart out tonight at Scorpion Bar during our weekly karaoke night with American Idol finalist Erica Von Pelt and j-krak," end quote. But there's nothing on Ice Rap. Ice Rocket. Their same point had a few findings, but at least they were positive ones. I checked all the other turn type sites and found nothing or nearly nothing different from what I've already reported. And the truth is, this tweet from Scorpion Bar is probably more about touting the fact that they've got an American Idol finalist than touting poor j-krak. Process and future. My main process was to use Google, and then there wasn't a lot there. I then checked YouTube, and then all of the social listening sites provided. And I kept coming up with very little, very little, very little. The band clearly needs a larger online presence than just a few YouTube videos. And it's just a disconnect here, because over 95% of men within this age group are online, and a large chunk of women within this age group are online as well. This band should be online. They should be online considerably more than they are. Kim and I chose the band's fandom as our community. Our intention is to create social media buzz for the band and to see if we can somehow increase its popularity, and hope we can. Now here are some citations. Groundswell on page 46 is a table, and I won't repeat it here, but that's essentially the social technographics of young men and women, and some of that stuff is online as well. Content Nation under page 282 says, and I quote, musicians are exploring many different ways to use social media as a model to succeed as professional entertainers, end quote, and this band needs to get on the bus. Cognitive Surplus on page 202 says, and I quote, you can have a large group of users, you can have an active group of users, you can have a group of users all paying attention to the same thing, but pick two, because you can't have all three at the same time, end quote. And I think that j-krak will do best to pick an active group of users all paying attention to the same thing. And I got one last thing to say. Let's rock and roll! Thanks for listening.